Hi guys, so today's video is going to be about college. I'm hoping to do it in one video, but we'll see how it flows. If I feel like it's running longer than I would like, I'll divide it into two. We'll see how it goes. So when I say college, just to clarify, I'm referring to what Americans would call community college. I know from pop culture that Americans refer to university as college, so I just wanted to clarify that. And I know other countries might use other terms. I don't know them. I only know Canada and the States. I don't know, so I apologize. So my plan with college was it's called practical nursing. It's like a lower level of nursing. Might be similar to nursing assistant in other countries. I'm not entirely certain. But my plan was because I always wanted to be a nurse from the age of 6. I wanted to be a nurse, except for a brief period in high school where I contemplated paramedic, but quickly went back to nurse. So my plan was because my high school credits were college stream as opposed to university. My plan was to do the practical nursing 2-year diploma, and then that would be my bridge. I would go to university, and I'd get my bachelor's degree in nursing, and I'd be an RN. And ultimately, I wanted to work with premature babies. So none of that happened. I lasted half a semester in the practical nursing program. I would say in a nutshell that I burnt out. I had 9 courses. Most of them were very heavy. I was either at school, asleep, or doing work, basically. Many of the courses had stuff that wasn't even discussed in class, but you still had to go through questions in the syllabus because they could be on an exam. The practical lab, where you go into a lab setting in the school and work on dummies. In the first semester, there was no outside the building practicum. But even for that little lab, you had to answer a bunch of questions and show the professors that you did them to even be let in. So there was no, you couldn't not, do something. Everything had to be done. And I burnt out. I have very little mental and physical stamina. I get overwhelmed and stressed and anxious very easily. And I was in the car. It was reading week. My family was going apple picking. I was in the back seat of the car. I had my laptop on my lap, textbook next to me on the seat. I think there might have been a binder on the floor. And in that moment, I went, this is absurd. I can't do this. If other people want to do this, good for them. I can't do this. Um, and I contemplated reducing my course load because I was identified as having special needs. The school had told me I didn't have to do the full course load. The school was quite good about that, actually. Quite a few students accessed many resources for their needs. I must say, they were very good at that. So I contemplated that, but I ultimately decided to drop because I found out that in second semester, when we had our first practicum in the community, we would be in an old age home. And the idea of, like, I'm interested in geriatrics from a distance. I'm always looking up, oldest people records and always interested in longevity. But actually working with older people, it just seemed like something I wouldn't be able to handle for any number of reasons, socially, emotionally. And when I ran into somebody down the road, when I was at college I was at the same college doing a different program the following semester, I ran into somebody who's still in nursing, and she told me some of the things she was dealing with the older people, and that was the moment that I knew I'd made the right decision. Although to be honest, in the moment I made the decision, I knew it was right, and then that confirmed it. So I dropped out of nursing, and I entered one of my absolute worst major depressive episodes, definitely in the top two. I barely slept, I barely ate. I was basically in my bedroom watching YouTube videos. This was pre-Netflix, so I was stuck with YouTube videos basically in my bedroom. Um, and hmm. So I guess that's about it for the nursing. Oh, there was a course I was taking that semester called psychology, which I didn't realize was, there were students in it from lots of different programs, not just nursing. It was required for many. So I found out towards the end of the semester that even though I dropped the nursing courses, I was technically still enrolled in that class. And amazingly, the professor actually let me catch up, and I actually managed to get a credit out of that semester. even though I didn't come out of my bedroom for a couple months. Um, so and that's when I dropped out, my mom told me I could either get a job. She's never pushed us to go to post secondary if we didn't want to. And she said either get a job or choose a different program. So I basically grabbed a course catalog for my school and started flipping around, and I came to early childhood education. And I thought I like babies. I remember 9-year-old me reading Dr. Spock, baby in childcare. So I thought, I'm going to do this. In retrospect, I probably should have done DSW or CYW, Developmental Service Worker or Child and Youth Worker. Those would help me a lot more in my interest in working with special needs. I'll discuss all that more when I discuss work. But at the time, those two weren't in the book. ECE was. It seemed like a good idea. So I went ahead with it. And I was given the option of reducing my course load, but it was 6 courses as opposed to 9. And one of those was a placement even. So a practicum. So I kind of got cocky, I'm going to be honest. So my first semester of ECE, I failed 3 courses and passed 3 courses. Because what happened was, up until about midway, my workload was very, very light. It felt like a joke compared to the nursing. It didn't even feel like I was in school. And then all of a sudden, I had all these assignments due at once. And I tend to work in slow motion. Like, I literally ran out of time. Did not hand in an assignment, failed that class. I failed the placement. I take half responsibility for that. Um, I could have disclosed things. I could have tried harder. However, they sent me to a sort of hostile place. There was a lot of yelling and infighting. The staff were not happy, so that intimidated me. So that didn't help anything, trust me. But I do take, some responsibility for not asking more. But then there was also, like one of the things she said to me, my host teacher, the person who watches the student, during my evaluation, she said that I didn't take any initiative. That was an example she gave was I never swept the floor after lunch. Nobody ever asked me to do that. Someone else was always doing it. Like if there was a giant mess and no one was doing anything, I would have grabbed a broom. But there was always someone else doing it. Like no one was asking me to do anything, and she's putting in my evaluation that I don't do anything. So I went to the professor, and she did disclose to the host teacher at that point, and it did get a little bit better, but it was too little too late. And I ended up failing. But then the 3 courses I passed with flying colors. So what they told me is normally if you fail half or more of your classes, you're out of the program. But because I got like A pluses in those things, they could see that I was capable of doing well. So they told me I could stay in the program, but it wasn't an option. I had to do a reduced course load. So I did go on to complete my ECE, but it took me 8 semesters instead of 4, and there were definitely some speed bumps. I had a professor. I had this woman 3 or 4 times. She was haunting me. I had her actually tell me to my face that she didn't think I would be successful because of my disability. So, if nothing else, that motivated me. I'm like, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to get this damn diploma. And I mentioned earlier that I should have done, a different course. I didn't think of that at the time. I was happy enough at the placements with the children. Um, and I was lucky because after that first failure, the school sort of bent over backwards for me. They put me in the lab school on site, which is like a model school. Like you could nitpick a few little things, but it's an amazing childcare center. And they let me actually do 2 different placements there because you have to do placements in different age groups of children, babies, toddlers, preschoolers, all the way up to, school age kids doing after school care. And they let me do 2 different age groups at that lab school. And then I did another one at a daycare out in the community that's like renowned for how amazing it is, and everyone wants to get in there, and they let me go. So I got very, very lucky in that regard. Academically, by that point, I was a lot better than high school. I could sometimes my mom would have to sort of give me that kick in the pants because I'm not always, my initiation is poor, and I would look at an assignment and freak out, and she would be like, "Okay, Emily, do this first part. Don't worry about the rest of it," you know. And but I did everything. But once I got started on something, and the more school I did, the more college I did, the better I got at starting things myself. Even so, academically, I did well. I did cling to the school counselor somewhat. I'm sure she was sick of me. And I don't remember what the office was called now. It was for students if they have like a learning disability or another challenge. And they wished to access services, they would go to this department, and they also provided counselors in this department. And I kind of clung to that woman a lot. It takes a team of people to make Emily function. What can I say? Um, and I also got, because when I had that major depressive episode, I didn't really have any help. I'd aged out of my pediatric psychiatrist, and I had been seeing the school psychologist in high school. That wasn't an option anymore. So it was during my college years, I found a psychologist out in the community. I got an adult psychiatrist. So I got my, once I had my team together, so to speak, I was able to be successful in college. And I graduated with a 3.8 out of 4.0 GPA. Is there anything else that I want to mention? Um, yeah, that's probably about it. I'm actually quite happy with the length of this. It's weird for me to put 4 years into one video and other ones were so detailed. Oh, you know what? Sorry, one more thing. In summer 2010, you might remember from a long work video I did. In summer 2010, I did not work because I was doing courses. I was terrified of school age placement. School age is the kids who go to care before and after school. I was terrified because of that experience I talked about in that bad part of that town where I had really out of control children. I was convinced they were all going to be like that, and I was terrified of doing school age placement. So a girl that I was friends with, I put that in quotes because I realized now she had challenges of her own and was using me basically for academic help. But regardless, she was falling behind and wanted to do a couple of courses over the summer, and she asked me to do it with her, so I did. And it turned out to be a good thing because once again, this was at a different location. It was not at my main campus. My main campus didn't have summer courses, so we were at a different location, and I got to go to their lab school, and the kids were normal. And boys just sort of want to play with each other in roughhouse. Girls want to sit with you, tell you a story. A lot of girls go through a drawing phase. They're very gentle, easy to talk to. I had a perfectly good time, and I discovered that I like old kids of all ages, not just infants and toddlers. So it was actually a very good thing that she had suggested these courses. So I wanted to mention that. So I think that's it for now for college, and I'll do some work videos after this. It's gonna be 2 or 3, and regardless of how I divide it, they'll still be long. So I'll make some notes and see how it works, and we'll go from there. And sorry there was a bit of a delay between this video and the last, a bit of a rough patch mentally, but here I am. It's all good. All right, thank you.